Welcome back to First Year in Medical Device Sales. I am your host, Jacob McLaughlin, coming to you on a beautiful, warm, sunny Scottsdale day where we are now in the hundreds. It is summertime and you all don't care, so I don't know why I'm even saying it, but I am so excited to have you guys back this week. And I'm really excited about today's episode because I had a great conversation yesterday with somebody who's been listening to this podcast, and it's so much fun to see everybody who is listening, all the messages we receive. So again, thank you for all of the support. But we got to have the conversation where she's in medical device sales, but she didn't know about the other opportunities in med device sales. And so I just wanted to let you guys know about other jobs, other opportunities. A lot of people listening to this podcast are already in the industry. And you guys have seen how I go over like lunches and dinners. If you haven't, go back and watch other podcasts. The conversation we had was this person was making about $130,000. They were salaried. They were working more for a startup. So even if they made like a bigger move on like revenue and everything, they weren't going to get paid more. They were kind of capped. And then this was like the big thing was like there was no stock options. They weren't getting certain reimbursements. Some of you listening were like, 130, I'll take that. This is literally why we're making this, because I told her that we literally have somebody going that just got into our program. They're going for a position at 160 and they'll work way less than her because she was telling me about her day to day. And she's like, oh my God, that would be a dream. Right. And so the reason I just want you all to know is if you guys are in medical device sales, I want you to know about all the other opportunities. Also, what I always want to put this out is, when it ever is for Q2, Q3, or it's a brand new fiscal year, because every med device company is at different times, which you all probably know by now. You could see hiring, you could see firing, you could see all the different things. So I want you guys to know that there's other opportunities out there as well in medical device sales. But what I want you guys to know, if you've been in the industry for even more than a year, what you guys have to understand is you guys have great experience. And you all know that. Everybody told you when you're trying to break in, the hardest thing ever is just to break into medical device sales, right? You all know, no, it's actually getting the job and then doing the job, and you guys got to be good in med device sales. But now that you guys have that experience, this is what I always want to push to you all. Leverage that. Leverage your experience. Leverage your experience of being able to go run trays, be able to actually run lunches, be able to actually close doctors, grow revenue, all the stuff that they're looking for. Because if you can do that, that's going to be transferable to other companies that will value it. And so this is the reason I'm making this, is because every place you're at is awesome. And I'm glad you guys are all there. But what I've learned with a lot of companies is a lot of companies will just like have you stay there. They'll only give you like a 2 or 3% raise. If you crushed it, maybe a 4% raise per year, but yet they double your quota, right? And then it's like, well, this is interesting. You just gave me double the amount of work, but you, like, for example, when I was at one of my companies, they were like, we doubled your quota, which was over, just so you guys give an idea, like over $700,000. And they're like, oh, great. So if you do that, we'll give you a 4% raise. And so at plan, so just to give you guys an idea, it was like, oh, so if I make you all $700,000 more dollars, you're going to pay me an additional $4,000. Great. Yeah, good idea. Right. And so the reason I'm just saying that and giving you guys some thoughts, it's like, okay, I knew at that point it wasn't going to be a good fit for us because, again, it wasn't like I was at the top of the scale anyway. If we were talking $200,000-$300,000 and then they do that, I get it. But like at that point, it was not even close. And I knew I had been seeing every day other jobs being posted. And so I'm just sitting here telling you guys, if you're making under $150,000 right now, there's plenty of jobs for full line rep roles out there. And why do I say that? The reason I say that is because just last week, I had a CEO call me. They know I'm full-time and now helping people break into medical device sales and also be able to be in med device sales and go get other jobs. And we're now working with companies and there's a lot of stuff in the works and it's fun. It's why I'm full-time and we have the opportunity and we've just been able to bless a lot of people and can't wait to bless more people. But the reason I'm just saying that is that CEO literally called me and then offered me a job for $220,000 at plan. And so when I say $220,000 at plan, it was a $110,000 base. It was also with a $110,000 commission structure. They had top reps making over $500K, which you guys will always hear that. And it's like, okay, great. But like, if you plan to be a top rep, it's like, okay, good. I know I can at least have something to work up to. And then the whole conversation with it is like the car stipend and all this stuff. When I tell people like, yeah, there's still jobs out there for over $200,000, they're like, no, there's not. Oh, that's impossible. You're going to go talk to the reps you currently work with or work for. And they're like, those days are over. The amount of times I hear people be like, oh, it's not what it used to be. It's like, oh my gosh, there's still so much opportunity, because I sit here and tell you, I just got offered a job last week for $220,000. And it's like one of our coaches that we work with, she's going through an interview process where the at plan is $350,000. And you're all like probably spitting out your coffee right now. Those exist. but you have to know where to go and you have to know what to do because you all will understand this. You going for a job for 100,000, 130,000 is way different than you going for a job for 200,000, 300,000. Different experiences. You're going to go up with people that have 10 plus years experience. I want you all to hear me and hear my heart. When I went to Innovis, my counterparts were 34 and 43. I was 27. I had under 2 years experience. They all had 10 plus years experience. One had 20. I beat out people with 10 plus years experience, President Club winners. But when you can actually do the job and you can show them that you're going to be successful in the process that you're going into and you're going to be successful in the position that you're interviewing for, you'll get the job. Whenever you hear, we talk about it, you can go back and watch other podcasts, but if you hear you lost out to somebody with more experience, it's not true. You just didn't do enough to show them. Normally, people listening to this are a little younger or they don't have families or whatever it is. And if you guys do, you can still do this. I'm working with somebody right now. They have kids. They're still growing and they're now going for a position way north of 130. You can do it, but you have to know the right way to do it. And so that was my whole conversation with her. I was like, okay, so let's make this really clear. You're working over 60 hours a week. You're now only making 130. You have the largest territory on the whole company. So you're doing way more work than other employees, but not being reimbursed for it. There's no talk of what you would get for a raise if you did grow. And then even more importantly, you're with a startup, which the whole thing about a startup is you get stock options. So if they eventually sell, you make more money, right? She didn't even have that. And I was like, good Lord, what are you even doing there even more? Right? Because now you're just getting overworked and underpaid and you don't even have, like, the whole thing is like, if you're at startups or other things, usually they're pretty competitive with pay, first off, because they're usually venture back, right? If you don't know that, like, companies come and pump millions of dollars in these for an investment that they believe will return it, and then they can now be competitive. It's why they can go get people from like a Medtronic or Stryker or J&J or like these big companies and then have them come to startups and bring the relationships. And you can see where this all goes, right? They can offer competitive pay. But the reason I wanted to make today's podcast is because after that conversation with her, it was like, there's so many people right now that truly don't believe there's jobs out there for $200,000 or $300,000+. And they're like, oh, I'm making 68 grand. I'll never be able to do it. And it's like, guys, I did it with under 2 years experience. And I understand not everyone's going to have the opportunities I did and all this stuff, but like, you have to know that it's actually out there. Your self-limiting beliefs are keeping you stuck. The people that you're around and talking to are keeping you stuck. When you talk to John, the ortho rep, who's never made more than 150, and he's been there for 6 years, you know who I'm not probably taking advice for about getting jobs over 150? John, who's been there for years and doing it. And I say this to you guys out of love, is like, when I got into med device sales, I made over 200 my first year. I don't say that to brag. I just show you to say it's possible. And then it's like, I just met someone on an airplane a couple months ago with med device sales for 6 years. And they started at $54,000, started in trauma, worked all the time to then eventually getting to a point where they made about $150K. And it's like, that is awesome. And I'm so glad for their life. But what I want you guys to think about is like, that person's making 150 after 6 years. I did over 200 my first year. So the reason I'm just telling you that, it's not to be like I'm better than someone, I'm bragging. It's to show you that it's possible. You can go get these opportunities. It's just who you listen to. Because if you go listen to the person who's been in for 6 years and never made more than 150, they'll be like, yeah, it's just not possible. Compared to like, you go talk to the person who's making 350, they'll be like, yeah, 200, no worries. I want you to hear my heart. There are opportunities out there that could be better than where you're at. And now let me just sit here and tell you, more money doesn't mean it's better, right? So you guys have to always do your research. But I tell people all the time, when I'm in med device sales and when I was in med device sales, I interviewed every year with companies. Why? Because I wanted to make sure I was at the right company. If it's the right company, I'll love the culture. I'll love where I'm at. I'll love the pay. It will fit my needs. Now, could somebody come and offer me, which they did, just so you guys know, when I was at Innovis, I literally had a company come in and be like, hey, we'll give you a $250 guarantee for 2 years. So it's $500,000. Come in, and it was guaranteed. And instead of running the Western United States, I would have ran one state and I could have jumped. But I was very happy. Why did I stay at Innovis when that happened? I was extremely happy with the team. I was extremely happy with what I was making. Yeah, could I have gone and made more and it was guaranteed? Yes, I could have. But there's so much more that comes into a team that you're working with, right? Like I loved my teammates. I loved the opportunity. I loved the freedom. I love being able to work with other entrepreneurs. Like that's what I loved about working with Elliot and Jordan at Innovis, is like they are true people that are entrepreneurs and they were real human beings, right? We didn't have all the corporate stuff that went into it. And so for me, that meant way more than me than making more money. And so I want you all to hear my heart is like, it's not always about more money, but what I can sit here and tell you, there's so many people in the industry I talk to, there's people right now going on my LinkedIn and they're like, we got someone hired in 2 weeks at Stryker. And they're like, that's impossible. You can't do that. And it's like, they've all been in for 5, 10 plus years and they haven't got hired in years and they don't know how to actually do it. So then they hate on us, right? It is the typical, and just shocker, they're all orthobiologics people. Oh my gosh. Oh, Jacob, why do you say orthobiologics all the time? Because they're always the people that have been in for 2+ years, 4+ years, and they don't even make 200 grand. And then when we say you can make 200 grand, they'll be like, that's not true. You can't make 200 grand. I've been in ortho for 4 years and I don't even make 130. And I'm like, sorry, Rick, you sucked and you chose a bad division. Well, that's offensive. Well, it's just the truth. If you're now in med device sales and you've been in for multiple years, and let's just say you've been in for 5 years and you're not making 150 in medical device sales, what are you doing? I'd be looking for a new job tomorrow because we literally just got a 22-year-old hired at $148,000 with no experience as a full-line rep. And let me just put that out there. There will be reps out there that'll be like, that's impossible. I only make 148 or I only make 150 and I've been here for 7 years. Sorry, Rick, you didn't know what you're doing for the last 7 years. It goes back to what I always tell you guys. If you have a mentor, you know what to do, you can win the game because you know how to play the game. Most of these people are all trying to figure out the game. Right? So I'm sitting here telling you, for the rep that's listening to this that makes under $65,000 or $100,000 or $150,000, there are jobs in medical device sales that are out there that you could be working less at right now than you currently are and making more. Why? Because that job that I just got offered for $220 was for running one account in one state. And the account's 20 minutes from my house. My goal would be just to be with that account until we grew it to another account and then another account. And it all would have been local into the city I'm currently at. But you guys are listening to this and you're like, I'm traveling all over the United States, or I'm driving 4 hours a day and I'm doing all this stuff and I'm working 60, 70 hours a week. And let me just sit here and tell you, I would have been at that job working under 40 hours a week and making over 200 plus. And everyone that's listening is like, I'm working way over 40 hours a week and I'm making under 150 or 100. That's what's out there, and I just want to show it to you all. That's why I made today's podcast, is I just want you guys to see what's truly out there, because so many people, I watch it every single day. The amount of times I watch people that have been in the industry for 5, 10 plus years, it's not what it used to be. Or it's like, no, it's impossible to make $200,000-$300,000. Tell that to the person that is in my team that's interviewing for $350, and she's talked to reps that are making $600 grand. Oh, crazy. Because what I'll sit here and tell you, I just heard this morning, mediocre will always attack excellence. Let me say it one more time. Mediocre people will always attack excellent people, right? That's what's going to happen. Why? Because they can't do it. They don't have the same opportunities. They don't know what it's like. So to make themselves feel better, they're saying they're a liar. It's fake. It's not real. Guys, I want you to hear my heart. It is real. One of the girls we just had on the podcast talks about it. She's making more than 200 just off of a base. Please tell me that you can't make 200 or 300. Her base is 200. It's plus 200, just so you know. It's way above 200. And just so you know, her commission's way above 200 as well. Do the math. The reason I'm sitting here telling you, there are positions in med device sales that are out there. Now, are they everywhere? No. Welcome to doing the work. Knowing how to do it, knowing how to leverage your opportunities, knowing how to look for it and doing it the right way without getting fired where you're currently at and making bad relationships and leaving on bad terms. There's ways to do it, and that's what we really help with. But I wanted to make today's episode because after talking with her, she's like, Jacob, I'm working all these hours. There's really no room for growth. I'm not even giving stock options. Oh my gosh, if I could just go somewhere, even if I made around the same and just worked a little less, it'd be worth it. And I'm like, you could. And this is what people miss. Well, I'm going to be loyal to the company. You're going to be loyal to the company that will fire you the first chance they get. I just need you guys to hear me say that, because I made a whole podcast about this on New to Medical Device Sales. It's like, these companies love you till they don't. And it has nothing that they don't actually care about you as a human being. At the end of the day, you're in a business, and you all should know that by now. You are in a business, and if you do not perform or you don't fit the plan that they have going into the next fiscal year, you're out. And they will not feel bad about it. They might be like, oh, we're so sorry. Here's a severance, or here's like a gift bag. But like, you have to understand, it's a business. So this is why I'm sitting here telling you, as sales professionals, you all have great experience. You all have stuff to offer. You've done the hardest part of breaking in. Now you've been able to learn it. Most people, like we've all heard it. There's people in the industry that have been in for 1 or 2 years, associates. They don't even know how to talk to a doctor. They literally just go and run trays, or they just case coverage. The amount of people who still reach out to me, I get DMs on Instagram all the time. Hey, Jake, I've been in for over a year. How do I do a lunch? Why we made the lunch episode, right? Just because people have experience in the industry doesn't mean they actually have been doing a lot of the same things and having success. So if you have that, it's like leverage that and just understand, yes, if you love the company you're at and it's great, stay. I'm not telling you to leave, but I just need you all to know there are other opportunities. So if you're not currently happy where you're at, maybe it's time to look. And you all might be like, Jacob, how do I even do that? Network, talk to people. Just say, hey, I would love to learn about you. When you see someone in the hospital, instead of being the rep who's like, they might be trying to steal the business, and you're in GYN and they're in ortho, which they physically can't even steal the business because you guys don't even sell the ssame thing or in the same division, maybe just go talk to them and learn about them. And again, the last thing I'm going to always end with is, I know I always give a lot of rap to a bunch of ortho reps. Ortho reps are great. I know multiple of them that are good people. They make really good money. There is the opportunity. You just have to do your research and talk to them. On the caveat though, I would just straight up tell you guys, the amount of ortho reps that I meet that are like former athletes or whatever, and it's just the egotistical world and they're mad and it's like, oh, I lift this much weight. And I'm like, great, John, you can't even take a vacation because you don't make enough and you work all the time. It's all the egos that come with it. The conversation I'll just tell you is like, just do your research, work with people, and there's going to be a bunch of people who tell you, you can't do it. And let me tell you why they tell you can't do it, because they can't do it. You want to know what happens when you meet people who have done it? Hey, let me just sit here and tell you guys, you want to make 300 grand in med device sales? You can do it. Just got to know how. It might be more than 2 years. It's okay. But all these people who are saying, yeah, you want to make 500 grand or 300 grand or 200 grand, but it's going to take you 8 years or 10 years and you got to stay with this company. It's trash. Because I'm sitting here telling you guys, if you're not making 200K right now, you probably could leave today and go make it. It would actually take you to go research. It would take you to network. It would actually take a lot of work and you'd actually have to want it. And so I just want to make today's episode, hopefully it can help somebody, is there's so many more opportunities out in medical device sales, whether it's a clinical specialist, whether it's a territory manager, right? Last thing I'll just say so you guys can all hear it is like, because you're like, oh, the jobs, what are the other jobs? All right. If you're at a current company, is it a big company? Is it a small company? Right? Because guess what? If you're at a massive company, you could probably go to a med tech startup like we just said that's VC backed and probably make way more money and maybe get stock options. Well, there might be more work. Yeah, there might be. Right? But it's why, going back to why are you leaving? Now, here's the whole conversation. You might be working somewhere and you're like, I'm working 50, 60, 70 hours and I'm only making this much money. Yeah, you might be able to go leverage that to a big company where they're averaging reps or like, I just saw this yesterday. One of the big companies we're going with, their app plan's 185. Okay, guess what? They can probably go in. They have over 100 reps. So guess what? You can go crush it and do your thing. And guess what happens at a lot of these big companies? You go crush it, but welcome to being a med device sales. And you might talk to one of those reps that was working 38 hours. Or they're like, hey, I only worked 4 hours today and I called it good. Because it's a big company. They're not going to be, for example, when I was at Innovis, I'm one of 3 people on starting out. It matters if I make money for the company or not. But you go to one of these large companies where there's 122 reps, they don't know if you're making money. They're going to track your numbers. But like, for example, welcome to people who have like literally just barely made quota every year. They skirt by and they are there for 15 years. Now that's not giving them neglect. They perform. That's great. The reason I'm just saying that is like, welcome to, you can change your life and do it where you don't have to work 80 hours a week, not get stock options and be like stressed all the time. There's way more opportunities in med device sales. So I hope this was helpful. I hope this helps somebody out there. If you guys do find it helpful, if you can press that like and subscribe button, it helps us. A 5-star review helps us grow this channel. Please send it to somebody. Hopefully that can help them. If they've been in med device sales, I'm just going to sit here and tell you guys one last time. Eagles don't fly with pigeons. Don't take advice from people who aren't doing it. And just because it took Rick 18 years or it took Sandy 14 years, it doesn't mean it has to take you that much. That's my biggest thing. Stop letting people dictate your life and just go figure it out for yourself. And that's what we help with. If you guys are interested, it's been really cool to see how First Year In has worked, where we're helping reps that are actually already in the industry, but they're wanting to go to a full line rep role, or they are a full line rep, but they're only making 110, 120, and they want to go make 180 plus. Like, feel free to reach out to us. We can always help you guys with that. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn at Jacob McLaughlin or New to Medical Device Sales, or even First Year In. But you can also just click the link below and always schedule a time to get on a call with us as well. But just want you all to know, I just want you to win. I want you to have the best life. I want you to be successful. I've been able to live it. I know people who live it every single day, and I want you to live it as well, instead of taking advice from people who've been in for all these years that aren't having the success, and they stay in it because they don't have anything else, and they pigeonhole themselves and they have to do it to pay their bills. Compared to, you should have the freedom. You guys are in med device sales. Get yourself to where you have the financial freedom, the opportunity and the freedom to travel, to buy the stuff, to do the investments. That was our whole conversation, was doing investments on the side to be able to go travel and do the stuff. That's possible. You can do it. just know how to do it. So I just want you all to know from the bottom of my heart, I want you to win, know your value, go after your goals, and keep hitting quota. See you on the next one. Peace.